Today we're going to take a look at the AMT Electronics Ozzulator Chorus Pedal. We did a little bit of guitar up front, so we'll run through some of the tone options on bass. It's advertised as being for both, so we'll see what kind of results we get on two different instruments. I guess obviously by the name, it's a little bit of a tip of the hat to Ozzy guitarist Zakk Wylde and his chorus that was made famous probably on the No More Tears era type of thing. And it's definitely a distinct sound. I usually find there's two different types of choruses, and one tends to be a more thick, kind of lush sounding chorus, and then you have others that are a bit more bright, articulate, and keep the real articulation of note value pretty steady. I find this one to be a bit more on that articulate and less kind of rounded over type of chorus sound. So let's take a look at the options and see what we have on board. So up front, we have the pretty standard options for a chorus. You have the width and rate. And then below we have a mix, so you can blend in between the dry signal and the full effect. And then the delay. Something uncommon that we'll take a look at are there are two slider switches on the sides that are ways of choosing in between what they call the color and chorus type. So we'll take a look at those in a minute, but two different options that most pedals don't have that I'm pretty interested to check out here and see what they do. So let's give a listen here with thing kind of set at noon, and we'll go through our options. I'm going to turn the effect all the way up, and let's see what we got. I feel like that's kind of the classic, could very easily be, you know, a bit of a Getty tone from early Rush, things like that. So let's see what happens when we mess around a bit here with the width. Bringing it back. Definitely opens up a little bit, less of that swirling type of effect, and kind of just gives a little bit of a touch, not so much a really saturated chorus type of thing. So let's bring that back up a bit, and let's see what the rate does. So definitely a bit more of that trem, ring modulator almost type of thing. As you bring the rate up and then set back, we get a bit more. Bring up the width along with it and see what we get. So still articulate, but it seems like taking either the width or the rate down kind of puts it back into that just touching the signal a little bit kind of category. So again, let's bring them back kind of to neutral and see where we're at. back to that kind of traditional chorus sound. Now, let's see what the delay does. We'll back that off a bit. And up. Kind of brings in those early reflections, a bit more of the chimey, more upfront type of thing going on. So let's barrel this all the way up. And back it off about halfway. Interesting. It actually handles a low B fairly well and gives a little bit of depth and chime. So there's definitely, I think it does the standard chorus options pretty well. Let's see what we get with these side pieces. So let's take a look at the color switch. So right now we're at... Oh, that takes it to kind of a different territory. It's almost adding in a little, maybe phaser, could even be a bit of flangery type of sound. So it really seems to shove the effect much more forward. That's kind of surprising. It's more about the depth of the effect than just a color. So let's do those back and forth again real quick. Interesting. So it seems like it more works on the modulation, that you get a lot more of the swirling, pronounced, almost synth sounding type of things in it. So now let's take a look over here and see what we have as far as the chorus type switch. Interesting. It's almost a little hard to kind of put my finger on exactly what the change is. This one seems a little throatier in a way in the up position. Again, just a little bit less pronounced. I feel like one's a bit more subtle and kind of how the other switch was, but more modulation, but in a different way. It's almost like just making the effect more pronounced again. See, right there, you can hear the waves come in when I do the switch pretty quickly. A really nice chime on top, that kind of thing. So as far as the switches go, while they call it, you know, color or type, I think what it is it just takes two different parameters and leans them forward or a little bit more subtle in the mix depending on the position. And it's kind of a keeping the mix separate. You know, you can still dial in the tone as how much dry and wet you want, but the wet will become more saturated depending on which one of these that you decide you like the effect of a little more. Now, what I think that might be interesting with is if you're backing off of the mix and say here, going to the more pronounced positions, being able to have the more saturated and rich tremolo or phasey feel to it, while still having some of your direct in it. So first thought, that would be kind of how I would take a look at it, in that if I wanted more of my dry signal in it, I would probably put those switches forward so that the chorus effect was still noticeable on the part that was being blended in. So I like this. On some of the guitar things, I found, again, with another Rush reference, very easy to get that kind of Alex Lifeson, rich, shimmery kind of chorus coming out. It definitely does the Zakk Wylde. So it reminds me of a bit of that more 80s style kind of really present chorus, but made with a bit more modern options. And you can dial in a warmer sound by, backing down on the width and especially the rate. That seems to be the thing that really adds in the really shimmery effect type of thing. So I think it's a really versatile pedal. And the interesting thing, again, is the size of it. Just like with the other AMT pedals we've talked about on here, really small size, and also includes the rear port adapter that you can mount it onto their new pedal board system that works without audio jacks. That review will be coming up here shortly, but that's a really interesting thing to have on there too, to have not just preamps, but multi-effects units that'll work with their system. So I think this is an effective one in that it's really articulate, so especially for heavy guitars, things like that, it's going to sparkle a bit and give some really rich type of sounds. And again, like I was saying, getting the old Lifeson style sound, or Zakk Wylde, or even heavier, without it getting too rich or rolling like some of the more dark or kind of subtle choruses might do. And I like it on bass. Another thing this one reminded me of is there's a Faith No More song called Woodpecker from Mars that a lot of people used to chase the bass player's chorus sound in it. And I find you can get that pretty easy in here. So it definitely does that 80s bright shimmer, but it's not stuck in that type of sound. I think it's definitely got some modern options and things. So let me know what you think. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this one. And likes, shares, and subscriptions are always much appreciated for more of these coming up. That's going to wrap it for this one. I will see you on the next one.